The Cleveland Browns' future has me feeling a weird tingle in my body, and I don't know what to do about it. But I really liked how they did in this draft, whether it's the trade down from 2 to 5, or the picks they made throughout the 3 days. And since April, the overall direction of this franchise has done a complete 180. I want to start with the trade down from 2 to 5. Look, Travis Hunter is a generational prospect, but when you move down 3 picks in a draft class with a lot of quality players at the top, get pick 36, pick 126, and next year's first from a bad team, you take that. And you still get Mason Graham, who was guaranteed to be there at 5, and he is just so good. But some people look at him and his stats and see 9 career sacks in 3 years. Why are people so high on him? One thing is that he has great technique in double team situations and can get past them with ease. Defensive tackles are meant to be space eaters in the run game, and if they can pass rush, that's a huge plus. Think Dexter Lawrence. Even if he doesn't get past a double team, he can take up that space and allow another defender to make the play. He has a high football IQ, can recognize a player blocking scheme, whether it's a lineman's blocking stance, post, or pre-snap. He then can realize what gap to go to and get off the block and stop the running back immediately. Overall, he's just an elite run defender, will help a defense that finishes in the bottom 12 of every defensive rushing category. Graham sometimes doesn't have the best first move when pass rushing though, but he has good counters and doesn't stop working to get to the quarterback. Some people like to say he doesn't have power in his rushes, but I disagree. I think he's a good first step that can lead to explosive power going towards the offensive line. While he does have some things to work on in pass rush situations, he still finished 7th among all defensive tackles with 34 pressures last season. So if he can refine his game over the coming years, he'll be a star next to Myles Garrett. And speaking of him, they somehow re-signed him to a massive contract, 4 years, $160 million. He's an integral part to this team having any success in the near future. He's 29 and will be 30 by the end of the season, but still, he'll have a lasting impact as the best or second best pass rusher in the league until the end of his contract. And guys, I know I haven't gotten to them yet, but the Browns also drafted some great pieces on offense. And if you want to draft them in a daily or season-long fantasy draft, no better place to do it than on Underdog. But that's not all. Underdog just dropped their best basketball promo for the playoffs. With the extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your Game 1 boost and continue boosting each game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. If the series goes to 7, you could secure a big payday if your picks hit, as it will be a 100% boost. And if you sign up with code Fanatics, not only do you get access to the extender boost, but you also get a deposit match up to $1,000 in bonus credit and a free pick. Nothing is better than that. 33rd overall pick linebacker Carson Schwesinger surprised me on draft day. Not that I think he is bad, I just thought Shedeur would be the obvious pick, but as we all found out, that would be very, very wrong. He projects to be a will linebacker in the NFL. He can cover well and plays fast, sometimes too fast. His overall solid linebacker to add to a group that will be without Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for the entirety of 2025. He's a solid blitzer, tackler, and can stay up with the tight ends in the open field. Overall, I like this pick and think he can help this defense if he develops and maybe put some weight on. He has a thin frame, which is a part of why he should move to being a will at the pros, but he's quick on his feet and will do well at that role. He's a great leader in the next few years. If he can develop into being a good player, he'll have a C on his chest. And then there's Quinshon Judkins, and he's a great running back. He'll be the main running back in this backfield as he has played in multiple offensive schemes. Ole Miss was a inside the tackles type of running team. Bodies on bodies, using your contact balance, physical running, and had him near 300 total touches each of his 2 seasons. Ohio State used him more in outside zones and quick screens, really trying to show his explosiveness while keeping him under 220 touches in his lone year there. You can use him every down. You can catch, block, run the ball effectively. You can play any role, and the same goes with Dillon Sampson, who they got at huge value at pick 126. Drafting both these guys is an insane grab for the Browns, as they've shored up their run game for at least the next 4 seasons, and to have 2 guys who can play every down is scary. I love the versatility in this backfield. I think by the end of the season, we will have these 2 as a great young duo in the league. We don't see a lot of running back duos take over anymore. Right now we have Gibbs and Monty, but I think they could be the next big duo. Not to the level of the guys in Detroit, but an efficient 2-back system. 2 explosive running backs who can do everything on the field will have a day 1 impact in Cleveland. But they didn't stop there with offense, as they took tight end Fannin Jr. with pick 67. Nobody knows who Fannin will be at the next level. He led the country in receiving yards and receptions. Look, the dude is an elite route runner, good hands, and great after the catch. However, he's undersized and there's competition concerns because he played at Bowling Green. He truly is a confusing prospect, where nobody knows if he will be as good as he produced in college. I mean, you can't be that, he was too good. His best role is something similar to Mark Andrews, lining up in the slot, because I don't think his 6'3", slimmer frame will hold up playing as an inline tight end. But the quarterback situation in general is seriously crazy. Deshaun Watson setbacks with his injury, probably out for the whole year, and that's honestly a good thing. Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett as your veterans. Then you draft Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round, undersized quarterback, and that shows up on tape. And Shedeur Sanders, who allegedly has attitude problems according to his pre-draft interviews, what are you going to do? I think the best option is start Flacco until the bye, then try out both rookies. They have an insanely tough schedule, 13th hardest in the league. Also, shout out the Giants for somehow getting the hardest in the league, yet they were terrible this year. It's honestly funny. But back to the Browns, it doesn't get easier for them after the bye. Playing the Bills, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, and 49ers, most likely don't win one of those games unless, divisional games always are crazy. They can find a way for that. But here's why I like it. You draft 2 quarterbacks with question marks, have a solid veteran in Flacco providing leadership, and he can still play a little bit. If things don't work out and you don't like what you see, you have your pick and the Jaguars pick, both projected to be top 10 selections. You can draft an Arch Manning if he comes out. I don't think he will. LaNorris Sellers or another quarterback, because the 2026 draft for quarterbacks will be similar to the 2024 class. A lot of them will go in the first half of the 1st round. So drafting Dillon and Shedeur is a low-risk, high-reward situation. You see if you hit on either. If not, you have a great insurance plan. I will say though, the 2 rookies do have a chance to play well. Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and if Deontay Johnson can not be a diva, not a bad wide receiver room. The 2 rookie running backs in Jerome Ford, a tight end room of David Njoku and Harold Fannin Jr., and a solid offensive line if healthy. There's a chance one of them looks good enough in practice to start after the bye. You have your quarterback of the future for very, very cheap, and you could spend next year's picks to grab supporting pieces around him. The defense has some solid pieces to build around too. A secondary led by veteran Denzel Ward and some good corners next to him. When healthy, a good linebacking core. Now with this draft, truly a good front 7 outside of Myles Garrett and JOK. But right now with OTAs happening as we speak, this is when you begin to find out what you have. The offseason will prove to be pivotal for the Browns front office, as you get a first look at young guys against NFL veterans. They already saw them in rookie minicamp, but now it's OTAs and training camp starts soon enough. So you can see if they can read the defenses, make the right throws, and if neither of them look ready to start at any point this season, then you know you can make the move next offseason for a quarterback and maybe trade off one of the guys. Despite all the quarterback controversy, the Browns' future truly excites me. You have this great draft, grabbing 2 good running backs, a great tight end prospect with question marks surrounding his legitimacy, and 2 stud defenders to bolster your front 7, while having the 2 quarterbacks, and in 2026, 2 first-round picks to ensure yourself if Gabriel and Sanders don't work out. This was an A+ draft because they left out some needs like offensive lineman, pass rusher, and wide receiver, but definitely a B+ that provides a solid foundation for the Browns' future. The one thing they didn't really attack well this offseason was free agency because they just added depth pieces, which is fine, but only 2 players are projected to start. Defensive tackle Malik Collins, who was solid, and Joe Flacco. But Jerome Baker can play well if needed, and Tevin Jenkins can fill in at guard if there are injuries, which the Browns' offensive line has faced a lot of recently. Cleveland could be the home to a star quarterback and wide receiver next offseason. Think LaNorris Sellers and Clemson's Antonio Williams, for example. The Mason Graham trade truly set them up for the future, allowing them to get studs this year and undoubtedly next season. Andrew Berry, despite leaving out wide receiver and a couple other positions, did really well in this draft. And I think the Browns have set themselves up for a real chance at making it back to the playoffs in a few years. Definitely not in 2025. But if the picks this year work out and they get their franchise cornerstones in the top 10 next year, expect them to be back in a big way very soon.